Very good. Does anyone else want to comment on this question? All right, let's go on to the next question. Does everyone need to attend college in order to be successful? To what extent and in which instances should we promote acquiring skills in the various trades? Things like carpentry and plumbing and electrical engineering that lead to employment, job creation, and self-reliance. Well, I guess you need a degree to be an electrical engineer, but you can do work in the electrical field without having gone to college. I'm going to start with Seals Alkine.
No, I don't think that we need to promote college for everyone. I think it's a goal, it's an expectation more around learning. But certainly if you look at our fiscal environment right now, you have kids coming out of college who can't find jobs, who are graduating with tremendous debt, who don't have that opportunity waiting for them. I think that we have to look at, and other people have mentioned this already, look at needs of children, skills, interests, abilities, and provide an array of opportunities for them. And I think this value base between skills, college, we have to get rid of that values discussion, I think, and talk about it as an array of opportunities that all kids should have.
Fred?
Well, as one who spends a good part of every day encouraging young people to go to college and trying to help assure that they have the funds to go to college, I would say that no, everyone shouldn't go to college. In fact, in an upcoming program that we'll be doing at Essex County College at the end of April, we're actually going to have a session on alternatives to going to college. I think we all know that we still need people to build houses. We still need plumbers. But I think what has to happen is we have to figure out a way to show kids that that is something that is honorable and respectful to be able to do. My grandfather was a carpenter. He raised my father as being a carpenter. So I think it just has to be talked about more and encouraged and shown kids that you do have options and you can go to school to be trained in some of the trades.
Gus, you've done a bit of work in this area early on in your career. You want to comment?
It's this is the first discussion I've been at where education is a topic, the topic, where there's been any discussion about trying to get people careers that are not college related, like the construction unions, how to put up the buildings, how to tear them down. These are well-paying jobs which require a set of skills that you will not learn on a college campus, even when the time comes for the college to tear down a building. They got to go to non-college graduates to find a contractor to do it, and they're paying for it. I think we have, over the years, is there such a word, Richard, as over-focus on college needs to be one of your agendas, and if you don't get to go to college, there's something wrong with you or your mama or your daddy or somebody along the way has failed you. You've all been reading about the big brouhaha about the Continental Arena. It's brand new. Nobody ever believed it was coming to Newark. The Prudential Arena. Without thinking that there were no college graduates who helped build it. Not one. Well, that's not quite true. The general contractor went to college for a year and learned he could make more money building stuff than he could going to college. And as I keep reading about the arena and its implications for Newark, and of course the last 2 or 3 days have highlighted this even further, my guess would be there are very few people who think about that thing getting created here in an atmosphere where politicians were saying it's cost too much, it has no business being put in Newark, etc., except that it got done. And very few people think about how many jobs it created in getting done. And number three, if they think about it, it doesn't occur to him that any of the people who helped build it were minorities. Well, all of those things are true. Did it happen by itself? No. It had to get jammed down somebody's throat. And the Performing Arts Center is getting ready to put up another building. Rutgers has recently built 2 buildings, right in the middle of downtown Newark. And it has created job opportunities, training opportunities, income opportunities for lots of folks that we don't know. We didn't even know they were working there because there's been no newspaper story particularly about it. The point I guess I'm making is that there are traditional areas that we all instinctively think of when we're talking about opportunities for our young people. But there are more opportunities that we don't think of for young people that we never pay any attention to. And as an aside, in this town, there's a mechanism now in place to be sure that the young people of Newark, black, white, green, purple, whatever background, do in fact have an opportunity right here. They can walk to work. They don't have to get on a train to go. And take advantage, and these are well-paying jobs that I'm talking about now. And if we could just get City Hall out of the process, we would even do better. I wasn't supposed to say that, was I? Could I explain why I'm over here instead of over there? When I was directed to my seat, nobody ever showed me, and it's spelled right. And that's very rare.
Thank you, guys. Does anyone else want to comment on this trade school versus, please?
I would just say that what everybody has said just affirms that we have to insist on creating multiple pathways for young people to transition to successful adulthood, and to not invest in sort of the cookie cutter approach that does not benefit them or us as a society. I think the issue is our commitment to be as creative as possible about what these multiple pathways could be.
Thank you very much. The next question. How do community pride, cultural unity, and self-esteem impact the education process? And what lessons can we learn from other successful communities that employ these values? I'm going to start with Reverend Spagner and ask him to comment if he would.
All of the elements that you mentioned are, I consider, assets that exist in our history, and I'm being very specific on the African American culture and experience, but from reading and relating and discussing with other ethnicities and other groups, I find that the same valuable experiences are part of their history. And so the one thing that I think is so critical for us is to make sure that we are familiar with our own history, and that we encourage and we find ways of, certainly within the church, within our families, and the church can help there because we can influence families to some degree, to really be in touch. One of the things that I recently read was a book called The Triumphs of Joseph by, I think the guy's name is Woodson, that wrote it. And one of the things that he pointed out to me and to those that in his book was the valuable lessons of the African American heritage, the whole sense of entrepreneurship that existed a couple of 100 years ago at the point of the Emancipation Proclamation, and the rich stories and examples of people doing well in spite of the daunting circumstances and the oppressive conditions. And what I believe is so critical is for us to convey to our young people less on that notion of entitlement just because I ought to have, as opposed to looking within and finding what God pointed out to Moses. Moses is in a daunting position. He's facing this Red Sea, and the Egyptians are behind him, ready to take over, he and the children that he led out. But what does God say to him when he is whining? He says, Moses, Moses, what do you have in your hand? Part of our responsibility is to point out that we have something innate in us that we need to be in touch with, and that needs to be brought forth for us to achieve that level of success, whatever it is that we define as success. It's within us. We have it. God has endowed us. We have this inheritance. But often, because we fail to tell the story, we fail to appreciate the story, thus we don't pass it on, we are denying that next generation of that rich heritage. So I'm all about being familiar with the story, recognizing that you have the goods within you, all right? And that there needs to be less of this entitlement, because that gets into a whole lot of social programs that benefit other folk that are the service providers and not the recipients. I could ask for an amen right there.